And we're live. What's up, guys? Evil here on the newly named RC CarCast podcast. I'm here with Josh, Harley,
Hey guys.
as the RC crawler world knows him, and due to technical difficulty, Howard will be joining us by phone. Say hi, Howard.
Hello.
Yeah, that's pretty special there. So, well,
Can you hear me at all?
yeah, we can hear you, Howard. The new channel and everything, is all set up. So everything we do will be broadcast on the RC CarCast YouTube page, RC CarCast Facebook. Everything is pretty much branded RC CarCast, so it should be pretty easy to find and communicate with us as far as how this show goes. But this will be kind of our pilot episode, and we'll go from there. So this was Aaron's brainchild, so he was the one who wanted to get this rolling. I think for the most part, what we want to concentrate on is, we obviously are involved in the crawler world quite a bit, but Aaron and Howard are both much more involved in the other areas of the hobby, and all of the areas that we're involved in kind of seem, or a lot of them anyway, seem to be pretty heavily involved in scale appearance of whatever we're doing. Seems like that's what kind of brought us all into the hobby whenever we started. Those guys earlier than I. So Aaron and Howard are both getting into the drifters now, and that seems to be just as heavy in the scale as anything. So, Aaron, I guess we can do a little bit of intro stuff and kind of tell everybody what we're a little bit of a quick background and what we do.
Yeah, just a quick question to you. How's the video feed? Everything's completely blacked out to me. I don't see any video, so.
I mean, I've got you just fine, so.
All right, I don't see anything. I'm just going to let it roll then. I've been into RC, I think I started around 10 years old, so a long time. Did a lot of bashing as a kid, a little bit of racing as I got older. Did a lot of racing. Also got into airplanes and helicopters, and just about anything else I could get my hands on. And 3 or 4 years ago, saw crawlers and got into that real heavily, and that's when I ran into KCRC and all you guys, and the rest has been kind of history there. I'm still in everything else. Most of the YouTube community knows me from crawlers and stuff, but I still do everything. I still fly. I still drift. I'll probably race again. And you also have on here what we do for our job. My day job is I'm a team lead for a IT department at a large trucking company. But I pretty much just pine for RC the whole time I'm there all day. So that's the quick and dirty of it. What about you?
All right. As far as my background goes in the RC stuff, I didn't start RC on the hobby grade level until about 2004. In 2004 or so, I decided that I wanted to get into RC. The first thing that I was probably looking at was like the things that interest a lot of 18-year-old kids or however old, was nitro monster trucks or whatnot. But I ended up finding a couple crawling videos on RC Universe way back then, and that is what led me over to RC Crawler, which was very new in early 2004. So I logged on to RC Crawler July 2004 and got my first hobby grade RC, which would have been a Tamiya TXT1, and started building my crawlers off of that.
I can't hardly hear anything. I'm going to try to jack around with this for a little bit and see if I can't get anything working or not.
Yeah, Howard,
Put him on mute. Hang on, Howard. You're up next.
Anyway, started building my crawlers off of that in 2004, and from there just slowly turned into what I did. I've dabbled in a lot of the other bits of RC. I've owned the short course trucks and some go fasts here and there, but never anything that really got me hooked much. I have done the quads a little bit lately, but that's proved to be not a hot ticket for me. I'm really good at crashing, not very good at flying. and then from there, that's kind of my background. Obviously, you guys, if you are aware of anything I do, it's definitely crawler stuff. So, for a day job, I am a civil engineer for a private transportation consulting firm. I do traffic engineering, which consists mostly of traffic signal design, signing, marking, pavement, ITS, things like that. So. That's my real job, and I, had the opportunity to do a little bit of RC here and there during the day. So, anyway, but moving on with the background, if Howard can hear us, he can probably go over his real quick.
Howard actually dropped off the line again, so
okay. Well,
sounds like
maybe we'll have to move on to him next week.
if we get it working.
Exactly.
I am concerned that I have no video feed from me or you, so I think the recording of this is probably going to have no video. That's not good.
Okay. Well, we'll keep going. We'll see what it does. I guess the basis of this podcast we were talking about, you listened to some of the other RC podcasts. The only one I've ever listened to was Cooking with Nitro. And I think that was Brian Squirrel, and he dropped off from doing that. So.
Yeah, I want to cite those podcasts since they were kind of my inspiration for wanting to do this. The first one I picked up was a guy who just followed me on Twitter. It was called RC Noob. I didn't really know what it was, but I didn't have anything to listen to on a commute, so I went looking for RC podcasts. I found RC Noob. I'm listening to it, and the guy, he's like a graphic designer or whatnot, but he's just getting into RC. So his whole podcast, he brings people on to talk and stuff, but his whole podcast is about his journey getting into it. And in the process of listening to his podcast, I ran across the Radio Impound podcast, which features Jason Runa, who's the owner of J Concepts. They're a pretty big tire and body manufacturer in the RC racing world. He's also a pretty successful racer for Team Associated in the past. And then Gotti Jr. and Kirby Hand, who I'd never heard of before the podcast. But anyway, they put together a very impromptu podcast, which is kind of what I want to do. And they're able to bring on big industry people. So I found it really, really interesting. But it's not really tailored to our segment at all. So
right.
I was like, hey, let's do this. We'll do something for the crawler, scalar guys. So.
Right. And I do think that we should be able to bring on quite a few people that are heavily involved in the scalar world as well. So or scalar crawling world in general, and some outside of that are still involved with. But so I think down the road we'll have some people that'll be interesting to listen to and interesting to hear their point of view. That's something you might not have seen them type out on a forum or something like that. But getting into what our original what your original thought was you were heavily wanting to kind of focus on scale. So scale seems to have been I see Howard's back there, but
we don't know if it's going to work or not. Hopefully it will.
Anyway, you were saying that scale's kind of making its way back into RC, and it seems like that's been true since, like, I don't know, when the Slash 4x4 came out? Or, sorry, the Slash 2-wheel drive.
Slash 2-wheel drive, I'm guessing 5 years ago maybe.
I think it was like,
yeah.
It would have been like 09 maybe. 08, 09. Well, because, I don't think it was out in 08, but it was like 09-ish. So, and that kind of seemed to be the first, real big mainstream push back into scale. The scale crawlers and modeling and things like that, that's always been there. I mean, on a smaller scale, though, not very mass market.
Yeah, and I think it just kind of went away, especially in racing. I mean, back when I started, all the cars were very scale. They looked like real dune buggies. Everything had very scale-looking hardware and wheels. And as the race cars progressed, they started looking more and more like spaceships instead of real cars. And it's my opinion that we kind of talked about the other day that I think that kind of hurt the hobby. for me, stadium trucks was the beginning of the end. I really hate that racing class. I hate the way those things look. They're extremely easy to drive, but just because they have huge balloon tires, but not even remotely look like anything that you would drive. So, and then, you know, truggies and all that stuff came around, and well, it's a great racing platform. In my opinion, I think it hurt the hobby from just a hobbyist point of view, just because there's nothing visually exciting about those things. I mean, it's cool to watch them run.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look cool at all.
Right, and the same things happened with crawling, but in a much faster time frame. You know, the racing, you know, between when you started and now was, I don't know how many years, 20 years? But
plus
20 years plus. But the crawling, you know, comp crawling didn't really get picked up until about 06. And in 2006, our trucks looked like Jeeps and trucks and things like that. You know, we had tires on it that looked kind, you know, this, I guess you can call it the 2.2 class anyway. It always kind of looks scale, and that was kind of the appeal behind it. But if you look at the 2.2 rigs now, from the 2.2 rigs in 2006, which is 7 years, there's nothing, there's very little resemblance in anything. If you could find one part that was on a truck then that is now, other than like a Revo rod end, I would be extremely surprised. So, it's
right, and that's, I mean, I guess when I got into comp crawling, I guess the SCX was out, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. I was more interested in the competition aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But as I met all the, you know, guys at the comps, and I see the guys playing around with scalers, I'm like, yeah, you know, that's not my thing. But of course, you get infected, and before long, I owned one, and I'm up to like 5 of those things now. So that. And from what I'm hearing from industry sources, that is a huge growing segment of the hobby. So
yeah,
we're not even
absolutely.
Not even in just like the crawlers, but, you know, drifters. Well, drifters have been around for a while. It's going the same route. They're getting really, really scale. They're doing engine bays and interiors and stuff like that. So, and you know, short course buggies and things like that. Scale is really making a comeback right now, and that really invigorates me, just because that's the stuff that I get excited about, is how real these things look.
Absolutely. The you know, a new release of a body for competition that was super swoop backed or forward cabbed or something like that just was not exciting to me at all. I couldn't. But, you know, somebody releases a truck that looks like a desert truck or something like that, and that's extremely exciting to see. So, yeah, you know, I guess recently, you know, Axial has dropped, you know, the XR10 competition truck, but has released several new scale trucks. And granted, they, you know, some things are rehashes of old parts, but the Wraith has been, that's my favorite RC I've ever owned, as far as things you can do with it and things like that. And that, you know, it's got a wide track width and things like that, but that's a pretty scale appearance as far as compared to a real full-size buggy by something like that. It's the only truck that you can really buy with a full 3D interior that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that really grabbed me when they sent spy shots of that thing out. I was like, right away. I'm usually like, oh, you know, that's cool. I'll wait till it, you know, goes down in price and I'll get one. As soon as I saw the Wraith, I'm like, I will have one immediately. So they hit the mark with that.
Yeah, the Wraith, I think, was just a huge hit, and I think it probably sells based on that same scale appeal to people that aren't in crawling. Viterra dropped their Slick Rock RC, which we talked about the last couple weeks. If people have watched the show on my channel or Aaron's channel before we rebranded to this, we were guessing it was an MRC rehash, and indeed it was, but it was done to look scale, to give some sort of scale appeal to people, to see it on the shelf and say, oh, that looks like a real rock buggy of some sort, and then buy it. They put some scale looking tires on it. They're scale licensed super swampers, and they put a plastic style cage on it to look somewhat like a full-size off-road buggy, and, you know, through the drivetrain from the MRC under it with the addition of some metal lockers, and that's about it, really. So it's waterproof, and, you know, it's meant to hit that mark of people who are just trying to get out there with something new. I think it's not really geared towards hardcore crawlers, which is totally viable.
Yeah, and it's really probably the quickest way they could make a stab into that segment of the hobby, right? I mean, that's kind of stuff that Losi had probably sitting around for a while.
Yeah,
and the iron's hot in this segment, so they're really wanting to push in that direction.
It's by no means hot like it was in 2009 or 2010, but it's still a viable market source. So yeah, I mean, it made sense for them to redo the parts that they had and put them out into something new like that.
Right. I would argue that scale, at least in the scale crawler market, is really, really big right now. I know the local help shops around here are stocking way more of those than anything else. So that's what's making them money. That's what's moving, I think.
Right. I mean, I don't, seeing an XR10 on the shelf even when they were hot was pretty rare. But seeing a Honcho on the shelf, you could go find a Honcho, and you can walk in there any day and pretty much find a Wraith or a new Unlimited Rubicon or something like that. So, I think you're exactly right. Scale in all means is going to keep going it, or keep at it. I think that's where the current trend is, and of course it'll go back to, it's waves. It'll go back to that hardcore competition, but hopefully it takes another 10 years.
All right. Well, we're about the halfway mark here, and we kind of touched on kind of the direction our podcast is going to lean. I guess the kind of next thing we would talk about would be, or at least give people an idea of what we're wanting to do, I guess is what I'm wanting to say. We're planning on bringing guests on the show. Josh knows some people, so we should be able to get some people on. And then we'll have guest hosts too. Hopefully Howard becomes more available.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the technical difficulty is there.
We dry ran this last night, and even then we knew Howard was going to be the black sheep of this, the problem child. He'll be worth it when he's on there. He's interesting to listen to.
If we could just get him to show up.
Right. But yeah, I think guests. We'll have guests from just guys organizing races or events and heavily involved in the hobby. Like I know we talked about Josh Harris has the Zombie Hunter G6 coming up down in Hot Springs at the Superlift ORV park down there on November 23rd, and we wanted to have him on to talk about that. Squirrel OD from Cooking with Nitro, he hit me up yesterday and said that he would like to stop on, and Squirrel's one of those guys that the very few on YouTube that puts out quality tech content that I can listen to.
Yeah, there's a lot of garbage out there.
So, but yeah, I think we've got a big list of guys that we'd like to have on, and could have some interesting things to say. Also, the Q&A stuff. We have to. We definitely want to involve people kind of as it goes, and we'll combine comments on the Facebook and Google Plus pages, which are both branded as RC CarCast. You'll be able to find those pretty easily.
Yeah, and I think we'll have I have the Q&A app turned on right now. I don't know if anybody's watching right now, if they can see it. Hopefully, when we're able to kind of pre-schedule these shows and people know when we're going to be on, they can hit that. But also, yeah, we want to have threads going on our Facebook page and Google Plus, so we can do some interaction that way.
Right.
So apologize if this show or this one is a little bit boring, but it's just a kind of an intro for people who don't know what we're about. We just wanted to talk a little bit about, kind of the direction we're pointing, we're leaning, and then some things we'll be doing. And then another segment of the show is going to be kind of like what's, it'll be who we have on and, including us, what are we working on at the moment, what hot project or how are things progressing. So to do a little bit of channel promotion for each of us. So
right.
So on that note, how's is it a Bronco? What do you call that thing?
It's a Scout, International Scout truck. I've been working on it for a little over a week now. I started not this Friday, but the Friday before last, and have just been kind of focusing on it. It's been going pretty well. It's an SCX10 base. It's got some dinky RC DDK drivetrain in it, which allowed me to do some pretty cool things with a full interior, and then all hand-formed sheet metal body panels, except for the grill, which I'm using an ambush grill that I narrowed up. But that's the only project I've been working on for the last week and a half. I haven't been working on much else. So hopefully I'll have it running in the next couple of weeks. But I know you've been on vacation. You still probably haven't touched anything, have you?
A little bit. I'm for people who have been on my channel. My big project right now is the RC10 Classic. I've talked about it a little bit already, but that build is starting to progress a little more. I'm going to do a video series on that. That's been really cool for me because it's woken up a lot of people, or I'm getting new people who are vintage enthusiasts like me. I'm a huge RC vintage enthusiast, so I'm getting a lot more people coming in because of that.
You're old, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So that, and then the next thing on my bench is that drift car. I have tons of parts waiting to go on that thing. As wintertime gets here, where we're not going to be scaling outside as much, I plan on getting involved with the local drift club. So working on that. That's my major winter projects.
I'm going to build a drifter too, and just put a big metal front bumper on it, and just non-sticky tires, and just mess up your pretty drift scalers.
You need to put that Rubicon JK body on it that you have sitting around.
Ah, there you go.
Have a Rubicon drift car.
Can you get like 2.4-inch drift tires?
You probably have the equipment to build whatever you would need to do it. So
that is true. One of these episodes, I'll do if we have video feed. I don't know what's going on with this one. We'll see at the end, but I'll do a shop tour or whatever. Speaking of the shop tour, or shop in general, my winter project is I'm going to expand my shop into the next room. I'm going to take another probably another 150 square feet or so, and build a little photo studio and office area for my new 3D printer, which I bought this week. So I'm really looking forward to that thing. That thing should really open up some cool opportunities. Especially, I mean, scale is the reason I bought it.
I don't think you're as excited about it as I am.
Yeah, you
a lot of cool stuff you can do with those things.
You didn't have to pay for it. That's why.
That's why I'm excited.
But 100% the reason I bought it was scale. I want to be able to. I've got a CNC machine here, a CNC mill, but I'm by no means a machinist. I can make stuff, but I can't machine stuff like the crazy stuff that Vanquish or some of those guys have the capabilities of doing. But I can draft just about anything. I'm very capable in SolidWorks and all those type of drafting things. So I want to print myself like a scale motor, a scale LS motor to put up in the under the hood of my rock bouncer project. Which is sitting over here, and I've got a list of things at work already going, of things that I want to be able to print that are just scale accessories or things that will help me, pull off a scale look. Like that Scout project, I can print a full 3D dash to, have gauge clusters and things like that with detail that I would never be able to do or never have the patience to do anyway with styrene. Some of those guys with styrene can build insanely detailed and intricate things,
Oh my gosh!
Pardon my noob. He's the best. Him and Semi Joe are the two scale guys. Semi Joe can scratch build things that are just absolutely amazing. Mostly semi type related things, but I don't even care about semis. I don't want a semi. I have no want for one or anything, but I'll watch his builds just because of his talents alone. And then, pardon my noob, is right there. He does build scale rigs that I'm much more interested in, but it's again just his talents that are what are amazing to watch.
that guy is probably, in my book, probably the best scale builder. His stuff is just off the chain real. If you guys haven't seen his stuff, just look him up on YouTube. He's done tons of videos, and even his video shooting skills are really, really good. He shoots everything from scale perspective. He uses nice hardware. Really, really, really cool videos. So check him out if you have not.
Do you know his YouTube handle?
It's Pardon My Noob.
Okay, I didn't know if it was the same across everything. Either way, absolutely. By all means, it's better than anything that I can think of offhand. So
we completely unintentionally segued into like the last part of the show here, which was we were going to talk about our favorite YouTube channels, producers, and podcasts. So Pardon My Noob obviously is a great one that we both like. Do you have anyone else that you really like?
I'm more of a I like the technical information. I listen to I'll pull up a lot of YouTube videos and listen rather than watch a lot because I'll do it a lot at work. I'll throw it on my phone, just trying to absorb some sort of Squirrel OD. I like his stuff because it's technical. He puts a lot of technical information out there that is some of it's about stuff that I don't own. I don't have a want to own, but it's just more information and things that I like to gather. Beyond that, I do like some redneck fun, like Mad Ram 11. All the rock bouncer videos.
Oh yeah.
It's hard not to like that. It's entertainment. That's why I'm building the little rock bouncer project. I'm all about just some stupid grins for fun. So those would probably be my throw a couple of those out there.
Yeah, Mad Ram, if I'm watching full scale stuff, he definitely always has good footage of those just insane rigs just flying up the hills. I mean, watching regular rock crawlers is cool, but there's just something about the pure testosterone involved with those things.
Right.
Just the nitro breathing, insane horsepower, just no budget constraint, type of vehicle.
Yeah.
Those are really exciting to watch. Other YouTube channels, a lot of guys I've gotten into, I've found because they've, subscribed to my channel. So that's how I run across a lot. And I'm actually drawing a blank right now. So apologize for that. I will.
We've got a lot of these. We can get to that later. But as far as podcasts, I don't listen to any RC podcasts anymore. I used to listen to Cooking with Nitro with Squirrels, the deal, but that was the only RC one I ever listened to. Beyond that, I listen to mostly comedians. So that's I spend a lot of time listening to comedians while I'm sitting at my sitting in my office or whatever. I guess a few of them just offhand are Your Mom's House podcast. It's a husband and wife comedians. Then there's one called Talking Shit, which is pretty raunchy. And then I also like Joe Rogan. He has a lot of views that are not necessarily the same as mine, or a lot of activities that aren't the same as mine. But he has some really interesting conversation that I do enjoy listening to, and he surrounds himself with people that I really like. So,
a lot of quality content. So on the RC producer that came to mind, one of them I watch a lot, which doesn't have anything to do with cars, is RC Flight Test. They're actually like a company now, where they started out of a dude's garage. They put together a really high quality, kind of a flight-based YouTube channel. And then for podcasts, like I said before.
Hey Aaron, try changing your mic real quick. You got some weird feedback.
I don't think I can change it. It lets me. I'm still getting weird audio.
Yeah, but it's real weird.
Try to move this a little bit. We're almost out of time here. The other podcast I mentioned RC Noob, Radio and Pound podcast. My daughter's awake. Different colors, aren't they?
Hey, Eric, you're I can't almost hear you at all now.
Yeah, my bandwidth kicked down for some reason.
Well, hopefully. Yeah, I can kind of hear you.
All right. The other thing I wanted to mention was I listen to a lot of podcasts. Kevin's podcasts are very entertaining, especially the ones where he's on the road. But those are obviously not RC related. So.
Well,
and that's pretty much it. We're down to about a minute, so we can just sign off here, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if my idea is coming across the same as yours or not, but we'll see, and we'll just kind of end it with that, and we'll get into similar topics as we go. We'll keep a running tally of things we want to talk about and things that are interesting that hopefully come up. We do hope to try and do this on a schedule. Tuesdays at 9 o'clock is kind of what we're thinking, and we would like to try and figure out how the best way is to do some interaction with people. We'll also try and do some interaction during the week to try and bring up some topics to talk about while we're talking here. So hopefully that does it, and we'll go from there. Hopefully this thing turned out, and hopefully we can come up with some interesting stuff down the road.
All right, and I don't know how this is coming across, but I just want to say thanks everybody. We've had a lot of really good initial response, so appreciate everyone. There's our timer. Appreciate everyone tuning in, and we're going to try and keep these shows at half an hour. So we'll catch you guys next Tuesday at 9 p.m. And anything else you want to add, Josh?
Subscribe to this channel, RC Carcast. My channel is HarleyDesignsInc. Aaron's Evol Villan RC. Facebooks and Twitters are all alike as far as the names go, and mine's just Harley Designs, but everyone else's is same as the name. So hopefully you guys can find that and subscribe to those, and we'll try and keep pumping out new content.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. We'll catch you guys next Tuesday.
All right. See you guys.